You're listening to the Outer Banks This Week podcast, a place for people to hear what's going on up and down the beach and to get the truth about what really goes on around the Outer Banks. So, are you ready? Here we go.
Thank you so much, Wes. Outer Banks This Week podcast, episode 114, all brought to you by Outer Banks Pest Control for that unwanted varmint in your life. And I'm not talking about your kids. I'm not talking about your wife or like those crazy ants or whatever they like to talk about on the TV. I'm talking about the actual ants, the actual termites, the actual varmints. You're going to want to get up with Miss Jessie and all the fine folks at Outer Banks Pest Control right here in Manteo, your hometown pest control exterminators. Yes, visit them online at outerbanks-pestcontrol.com. And of course, we power this engine with one of the biggest powerhouses on the Outer Banks, that being Kelly's Automotive in Manteo. Kelly just had a big car show, or they had the big Outer Banks Hot Rod show going on this past weekend. And Kelly is a host of one of the events. And I'll tell you what, his car lot was packed to the gills with classic cars. It was very, very nice to look at. They had people set up out there with chairs, watching the cars come and go, all that fun stuff. So glad to see all of that taking place at Kelly's Automotive in Manteo. And you can check them out online at kellysobxauto.com. All right. Yes, we are 114 episodes deep into the podcast. And I'll tell you, it seems like just yesterday we started this thing, and now here we are, 114 episodes deep. Hey, we're into the month of May, and I'll tell you, the weather's been great. We finally got a little bit of rain the other day, but in my opinion, it wasn't enough to do like any sort of like put a dent in like the water table around here or whatever. I don't know exactly the right terminology there, but I'm going to tell you that like it sprinkled at my house. I don't know what it did elsewhere, but I know that it just was not a substantial amount of rain, especially for what we need. My grass is still dead, you know, like it just does not look good out there in the yard and whatnot. So I would like for us to get a little bit more. Lord Jesus, please send us some more rain. Amen. But I can't complain. The pollen is gone for the most part. I mean, I think there's still like some like grass pollens or whatever floating around. But like as far as the pine, like oak pollen, stuff like that stuff, I believe is pretty much gone. So it's kind of nice. You can open your windows again somewhat. You can ride down the street with the windows down. Temperatures mid to upper 70s. We had a couple of 80s last week, I believe. Had those temperatures. I mean, it's in the upper 60s, low to mid upper 60s, 60 degrees in the 60s in the evening. So got some really nice weather. Very pleasant. Here it is the month of May, and it's great. Great Outer Banks weather. We're loving it around here. Gosh, this past weekend I saw it like First Friday. First Friday was popping off. And I'll tell you, we tried to go downtown for First Friday here in downtown Manteo, and there was nowhere to park. My wife didn't get off work until later, so we were like, had to wait. And honestly, we rode around the block a couple of times, could not find a single place to park. So we ended up going to Stripers, which was very, very good. If you haven't been to Stripers in a while, you need to go check that out. They got some very good things to eat in there. And I mean, just a wonderful atmosphere, and we enjoyed it. So that was just as good, if not better, than going to First Friday. They're both good. Beautiful weekend, though, as I said. And here we are into the month of May. What's been up, you're asking? Okay, what are we doing this week of the podcast? So, I got an email last week from a gentleman named Mr. Eric Preston. He said, hope you and the family are enjoying vacation because I was out of town. Looking forward to the next show. He said, could you do a show on Corolla? He said, you know, what we need to know, how we need to plan for it, tires, tides, no roads, etc. Do we bring everything we need, or are there stores, gas, etc., vacation rentals? Would like to plan a trip with the wife, but we're unfamiliar with the area. Thank you. Well, Mr. Eric, guess what? I'm taking the show on the road this week, and we're going to Corolla. So, yeah, I'm recording in my studio in Manteo right now, but I'm going to Twiddy Realty. And I'm setting up shop with Mr. Edward Ponton and Miss Shelley-Boo. Okay, I've known Edward. I've known him. We graduated high school together. We called him Corolla Boy back in the day. So who better to talk about Corolla than Corolla Boy? Okay, and of course, Miss Shelley-Boo. She and I went to the gym together, and I knew she worked up at Twiddy. Reached out to them. I said, y'all, I got a gentleman wanting to know all things Corolla, and they said, will you bring your stuff? Come on up here and we'll talk about all things Corolla. So that's what we're doing on this episode of the podcast. Really excited to do that. So I'm going to be heading up there shortly. News. There's nothing really, anything newsworthy that's jumping off the page at me right now. I will say that I want to get some news on, there's a bridge. I don't know the exact title of the bridge. It's down in Hatteras Village. They have been working on repairing this bridge or widening the road down there around one of the bridges for quite some time now. I'm not talking about like the Oregon Inlet Bass Night Bridge. I'm talking about down in Hatteras Village. You have to take Eagle Pass Road at a certain point. You can't go any further. You take Eagle Pass and you go around the back side of Hatteras Village, or would you call it the front side? It's the ocean side of Hatteras Village. Then it dumps you out right there by like Teach's Lair Marina. Okay. And then you can go back into the village itself to Sonny's, Dinky's, Village Red and White right in that area. But then like you can't go past Village Red and White or the fire department down there because the road's closed again by that bridge. Got to find out what's going on with that bridge and when they plan to have it reopened. That is the next question. That's the only thing newsworthy I can think of is when are they going to open that bridge? But for all other news, talk to my man, Grand Slam, Sam Walker. It's Sam Walker, OBXnews.com. Not much to recap by way of episode 113, where it was just me. I did not prepare well, so that's why you had just me last week. But hey, Captain Marty's Fishing Guide will be out in the very, very near future. Very excited about that. Looking forward to that. We wrapped up all the sales on that. The captain is very, very excited about his fishing guide coming out very, very soon. So with that being said, Captain Marty, full steam ahead with him. We love the captain here. So be sure you're listening to his fishing reports on all of your major podcast platforms and online at OuterBanksThisWeek.com. Same with his stories and same with his Other Side of Fishing show. Very happy to have the captain here. So keep listening for all the fishing news with Captain Marty. Going to take a quick break. Man, I got some shout outs. I do have a few of them today. I'll try to make them quick so I can get to not Hatters, so I can get to Corolla. But coming up, shout outs. First, a word from Just for the Beach and Teach's Lair Marina.
Teach's Lair Marina in Hatteras Village is the closest spot on the Outer Banks to the Gulf Stream. Just inside Hatteras Inlet, Teach's Lair is fully loaded with bait, tackle, ice, snacks, and drinks for your fun-filled day out on the water. Want to get rigged up to catch the big one? Lee and the gang in the tackle shop can outfit you to catch whatever is eager to get hooked. To see the marina, the tackle shop, or to book a charter, go online to teacheslair.com. Teach's Lair Marina in Hatteras Village. Your fishing venture awaits. You've made it to the beach. Getting there is one thing, but setting up your things is another. That's where Just for the Beach Rentals comes in. Whether it be a setup or a drop-off, Just for the Beach Rentals provides quality rentals, timely deliveries, and friendly service from Nags Head to Corolla. They have a huge inventory of chairs, umbrellas, kayaks, surfboards, stand-up paddleboards, a wide range of bikes, and even baby stuff. To see their setup packages for your oceanfront or non-oceanfront service, go online to justforthebeach.com.
All right, get everything you need for the beach at Just for the Beach. All right, we're going to jump into these shout outs. And again, if you're a listener to the podcast, I got a lot of emails this week. I was very happy about that. Justin at OuterBanksThisWeek.com. Like I've said, one of my favorite things to do is interact with my listening audience. I really, really enjoy that. Y'all give me great content. You have great questions. Very, very happy to answer those questions if I can. So thank you for emailing me, all of you that have done so. And I really appreciate it. Again, you can email me, Justin at OuterBanksThisWeek.com. I want to start with the Sheriff's Department, Town of Manio, State Highway Patrol. They did a DUI mock car crash at Manio High School last week. Now, it was prom weekend, okay? And last week, Manio High School, I believe it was Tuesday, they did a mock DUI car crash that was so unbelievably real that it was really hard to watch. I had to turn away a couple of times, and I went out there and just checked everything out and watched them go through it, and it was honestly like they acted out the whole thing. They had students from the SAD program, Students Against Drunk Drivers, and they acted out the whole thing. The kids, I mean, from start to finish, they landed the helicopter from the Dare Med flight out on the football field. They had fire trucks. They had police cars. They had Twyford's funeral home show up to simulate. I mean, this is real life stuff, real life things. You think about it, if you know anyone that has been involved in a drunk driving accident, or it's all too real. And these kids needed to see it, and they did a fantastic bang-up job. I want to thank Deputy Mike Harris and, again, Deputy Grover, the student resource officer, or the school resource officer, rather, from Manteo High School for just doing such a bang-up job with all this. And, again, the town of Manteo working with it, as well as State Highway Patrol. I mean, gosh, the list goes on. Roanoke Island Fire Department, EMS, Dare Med flights, Twyford's funeral home. The list goes on and on for putting this thing on. And I'll tell you, it was eye-opening. I really, really hope some of those kids took something away from it. Let's see. Emails. I got a couple of emails. I got one. Let's see. Let's start with the email from, let's see. We're going to start with Mike and Janine Ellis. So they said that, they listened to the podcast with the crew from ELS Electrical. They listened to it a while back and called them about a special program with the Dominion that replacing old recessed lights. They got us approved for the grant and just replaced all the lights. They also did a couple of other things that needed to be repaired while they were here. Aaron and his crew did an excellent job, and I cannot recommend ELS enough. They're great company. Let's see. My wife and I have a second home in Manteo and enjoy your podcast as we drive down from the center of the universe, Ashland, Virginia. Thanks for highlighting great companies like ELS. Mike and Janine Ellis, thank you so much for emailing the podcast and for letting me know you listen. I appreciate you guys, and I know ELS Electrical does too. They're fantastic folks, as you already know. And anyone that wants to use ELS OBX for any of their electrical and lighting solutions, they would be more than happy to come to your house. So there's a testimony from Mike and Janine Ellis of Ashland, Virginia. Hey, next time you guys come into town, let me know. I'd love to say hello to you again. So I appreciate that email. My next email comes from Miss Karen Murphy. Says, I listen to your podcast every week at work when it drops. She said, been coming to Hatteras and Ocracoke since the early 90s with their family. My husband was stationed at Oceana Naval Air Base in the 1980s, and we have loved the OBX ever since. Our daughters grew up coming to the OBX for vacations, and currently being empty nesters, we come with good friends who we introduce to the OBX. They love it as much as we do. Absolutely love the podcast. It keeps us in touch with all the places we love. Plus, it introduces new events and or businesses we have yet to visit. We'll be back this year in August. The Murphys just wanted to say hi from Dover, Ohio. Thank you, Miss Karen Murphy from Dover, Ohio. I appreciate the email. I'm so glad that you and your family used to come years ago, and you still come in with new friends and bringing them down and introducing them to the Outer Banks. That's what it's all about, guys. That's really what it's all about. We're trying to create great family memories and just making everybody feel like they're part of the family when they're here. Kind of the vision of the podcast. I want you to listen, be somewhat entertained. I try to be entertaining, and also get some information while you're at it about some different things, events, places to go, people to talk to, that sort of thing. So, Miss Karen, I appreciate it. When you guys come down here in August, let me know. I'd love to figure out, if you're over at Fish Heads, if you're at the beach somewhere, if you're just stop by and say hello to you. I really appreciate the email, and please continue to send me emails and stuff like that. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for listening. And I'm glad that we're able to do something for you here with the Outer Banks This Week podcast. That's going to conclude my emails. I do appreciate them. And again, please let me know if you have any questions. You want to talk to me directly. Justin at OuterBanksThisWeek.com. A couple more shout outs before I jump up and run to Corolla. Let's be real. I'm not really going to run to Corolla. I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to drive up there. Ha ha ha. All right. Bad joke. Anyway, so coming up on May 9th, Friday, May 9th, my wife and I will have been married for 10 years. 10 years. So I feel it's necessary that I give her a shout out on the podcast this week. I love my wife very much. She's put up with me for 10 years. Can you imagine having to deal with me for 10 years? I mean, she must really love me, and I really love her. She is my much better half. She's Gosh, I really, really don't know what I would do if she decided she wanted to just up and roll out on me. I would be in a lot of trouble. I would be in a whole lot of trouble. So, honey, I love you very much. Thank you for marrying me on May 9th of 2015. I really appreciate that more than, you're, other than the Lord Jesus, you and the boys are my whole life. And I love you very much. I love you. Thank you. All right, I'm not going to get all sentimental. I'm not going to do all that. But hey, to take from that, to go from our anniversary being this Friday to Mother's Day on Sunday, she's got like a big weekend coming up. And I want to shout out to all the mamas out there. All the mamas out there that do everything for their kids. Happy Mother's Day to you. Continue crushing being a fantastic mom, because each one of you that listen to this podcast, you know you're a good mama. Come on with it. So one thing my mom's not ready for is this Sunday. I actually have to, I was asked at my church to go and sit up and talk about how I've seen the Lord through my mama and her actions, and how, this, that, and the other. And I got the list of questions the other day, and I was like, oh, these are too easy to answer. All too easy. But my mom's nervous. She was like, Now, don't you get up there and you need to know what to say. I got to see the questions, so that way I know what to tell you what to say. I was like, Mama, you ain't seeing these questions. So, Mama, sorry about your bad luck, but you ain't seeing the questions. So I got to do that on Mother's Day. But happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. It's everything that you want it to be and more. All right, quick break. Then I'm running up to Corolla. And we're going to talk to Ed Ponton, Shelley-Boo, and whoever else they throw at me. We're going to talk all things Corolla when we come back. When it comes to general maintenance or major modifications on your diesel vehicle, look no further than Juan Cheese Off-Road Diesel Performance in Kill Devil Hills. Master mechanic Ryan Walker developed the plan for having his own auto shop over 20 years ago, and today he owns the premium diesel performance powerhouse of the Outer Banks. To have him and his crew take a look under your hood, give him a call today at 252-715-0025 or find him on social media. Juan Cheese Off-Road Diesel Performance, the diesel performance powerhouse of the Outer Banks.
Boasting phenomenal seafood dishes, a great menu, and waterfront views with deck seating, Striper's Bar and Grill at the Shelley-Boo Bay Marina in Manio serves a casual, fun-filled dining experience with an Outer Banks flair. With 3 floors to choose from, you're bound to find the perfect seat for you and yours while enjoying great food and fantastic drinks. To see our menu and to catch a glimpse of the beautiful views, go online to stripersbarandgrill.com. Striper's Bar and Grill at the Shelley-Boo Bay Marina in Manio, where everyone's a VIP.
All right, so I have made it to Corolla. I am here. As promised, I'm at Twiddy Company here at almost the most northern part of Corolla you can go, where the road is, the paved road. Sitting with me are 2 individuals that I trusted. When this first idea of doing a podcast in Corolla are the first 2 people I thought of. I've got Shelley-Boo sitting across from me, and then a gentleman whom I've known for 20 some odd years. What we say, 25?
Yeah, I think so.
25 years. He is as Corolla gets in my book. He was given the nickname by my brother when we were in high school of Corolla Boy. So if that tells you anything, this man is all things Corolla. Mr. Edward Ponton, everybody. Woo! Guys, I really appreciate y'all allowing me to come up here and do this, and I really appreciate y'all being here and being a part of it. So a little earlier in the show, I talked about a gentleman named Mr. Eric. He emailed my podcast, and he asked if I could do a show on Corolla. He was what things he wanted to know, because he wants to plan a trip up here, talking about the tides, tires, where the road starts, where it stops, stores, vacation rentals. Do y'all know anything about vacation rentals around here? Okay, because he wants to plan a trip with his wife, but he's unfamiliar with the area. Okay, and when I saw that email come through, I said, perfect. Let's go to Corolla. I haven't been up here yet, and I'm ready to rock and roll. So let's talk a little bit about who is And Shelley, you jump in too, because what is your job here at Twiddy Company?
So I am the director of marketing here at Twiddy Company. And of course, we specialize in vacation rentals, been around since 1978. So many years that we've been hosting vacations and all that good stuff.
Okay. How long have you worked here for Twiddy?
So I'm actually going to be 20 years next month.
20 years,
Yes.
but you're only 32, 33 years old. Like,
exactly.
wow.
Exactly.
Doing well.
It's hard to believe.
Gosh.
I started when I was a teenager.
Yes.
But yeah, so it'll be 20 years.
Okay.
And my main office has been in Corolla for most of those years.
Okay.
So I'm so used to coming up here and taking the drive up and passing the lighthouse and all the good stuff that we have in Corolla.
So never a dull day when you get to drive up through the northern Outer Banks into Corolla.
Exactly.
Excellent. All right. Well, again, Mr. Edward Ponton here, Mr. As Corolla gets to me, and he didn't. This is me saying this. This isn't. Those are not his words. These are my words. Because again,
Thank you.
I could tell. I may tell the story. I don't know if I'm going to tell the story. We'll see how things go. But I mean, one of my all-time favorite memories in my 40 years of living is with this gentleman sitting next to me. Okay. Talk to us a little bit about, so Edward, you grew up here in Corolla. Tell us a little bit about who you are growing up here in Corolla, that sort of thing. Talk to me about you.
Okay. Well, my name's Edward Ponton. I'm born and raised in Corolla. Well, I was actually born in a hospital in Virginia Beach because we're not that off grid.
No. Yeah.
But I'm in a bit of an interesting situation because I was born in 1984, and before that time, there was no road coming up north of Duck. There was an unpaved road behind the dunes, but it was privately owned for part of it, and it was not in good condition. So most people who traveled up this way, actually the majority of people who traveled to Corolla back then came from Virginia. They came down from the north end.
Really?
Yes. So,
okay.
And actually, little known fact, a lot of people think that the Corova Beach area, and Corova is named for Carolina and Virginia. It's a little border subdivision at the Virginia line. People assume that Corova Beach is a new subdivision, and sometimes we'll even hear comments like, oh, people have built houses in the horse sanctuary. And it's like, well, actually that's not really the story. Corova Beach was one of the first subdivisions on the Currituck Banks.
Okay.
Because lots for Corova Beach in the Whalehead area, they were all sold out of Virginia. People came down the beach on sort of like sightseeing, really property sales tours.
Okay.
Coming down from Virginia Beach, and you needed to drive on the beach. So people would park in Sandbridge, get in a vehicle with a realtor, and come down here and buy lots. So that's going back to the 60s. So then, you could travel between Duck and Corolla, but at some point that became restricted as well. There was a guard shack in Sanderling. And so getting to Corolla for years was pretty difficult.
Okay.
So I was born in 84, and in 85, a paved road was completed to Corolla Village, which was a game changer for the Outer Banks this part of the Outer Banks for access and development, because we still didn't have anything like grocery stores. I mean, we had a post office, a little general store, but nothing in the way of a larger kind of store. People had to travel south to Kitty Hawk, and then or people who could still drive to Virginia would do that. I should also say that access from Virginia was cut off in 1972, and so some families could still travel through to Virginia Beach by beach, but you had to live here on the Currituck Banks before a date in 1972, which my parents did.
Right.
So we always traveled to Virginia by beach and very rarely went south. So back to my original point, my birthday kind of coincides with this opening of access to the Currituck Banks. And so development kind of trickled at first. But then I would say, personally speaking, I think once Food Line was built around 1992, just about 3 miles south of Corolla, that really opened up development on the Outer Banks. Because when you think about vacation rentals, okay, you want to go stay somewhere, you want to be a little off grid, right? Maybe if you come to the Outer Banks, but you don't want to be so off grid that you have to travel to Kitty Hawk for groceries. Because back then, I mean, you would have had to go to the marketplace food line.
That's right. That's right.
And this is before Walmart was built. C-Mark wasn't even
C-Mark.
built. If anyone remembers
I
C-Mark.
love that place.
C-Mark Foods.
Yes.
Discover the difference.
Yes.
Yes. I do
Great
remember
soup.
C-Mark Foods. Yeah, because they were in the marketplace.
Yeah, exactly. So I think maybe my unique birth date kind of coincides with this. I went through this childhood of newly paved roads and, construction going on all the time. And so I kind of grew up during, I would say, the most substantial time of change on the Currituck Banks ever.
The Corolla Revolution was born with Edward Ponton in 1984. See, that's good. It's something good there.
It's really interesting. So that's kind of who I am. I mean, I never expected to still be around the area at this point. Like a lot of people, I think, went to Manio High School with you and left, went to college and thought, I'll never be back there. And here we are.
Well, this place has a way of attracting us back because I, in my mind, was never coming back either. And then Juan Cheese called me home and I had to go, that sort of thing. And it took me personally realizing what I had at home and appreciated. It took me leaving to figure that stuff out, and then it was just, I couldn't wait to get back here. So you grew up traveling the roads of Corolla. What did you do as like a kid when you were, out and about in the communities? What types of things did you like what kind of things did you get into?
Well, I was a kid.
Your daddy was a commercial fisherman, right?
My dad was a commercial fisherman and crabber as well.
Okay.
Crabs in the Currituck Sound.
Uh-huh.
He did haul seine fishing off the beach. That's where you set a net, go around a school of fish. You hope to go around a school of fish.
Right.
You kind of head it off and then anchor down, and then you pull that net up on the beach with pickup trucks. It's pretty antiquated type of fishing. I mean, they would have done it with horses, tractors. They do it on the Eastern Shore to this day, I think, with tractors.
Right.
Here we used pickup trucks to pull that net up on the beach. That's what my dad did all through my time growing up. But as how do I put this? As humanity increased on the Outer Banks, as more and more people started to be around, it got really hard to do that. Because if you think, this is where these worlds collide, right? And I work in the vacation rental industry, and I'm super thankful for the industry. It's what enables a lot of us to still be here today, right?
Right, of course.
It provides lots of jobs for people because the type of work my father did, and he actually kind of kept us kids away from it a little bit because he knew that industry was drowning in this area. Because as people came, imagine yourself as a vacationer and then some guy in a rusty pickup truck pulling a dory, a boat that's made to go through the waves and launch that net, comes and just launches that boat into the surf, sets a net and pulls it up on the beach right where you're sitting. And they actually, to this day, they can legally do that. And that's fine.
Right.
But people, no one wants to have to fight to work. And that's what became a thing where there were these clashes between vacationers and these old local residents that were making a living, but realizing that the place in which they're doing it is changing substantially. So you either have to change with it or you become a bitter old person, in my dad's words. And so he started crabbing more because people aren't sitting on the beach reading books and playing in sand on the Sound. So you go out in the Sound and you set crab pots. And so he adjusted, but that's what he did growing up. And, and so I kind of, I'm the child of the past, I think, from this area,
right?
But now I'm a product of the future, and I'm involved in what is the current industry, where I come from a family that was involved in an industry that is no longer really present much on the Currituck Banks.
So one of the unique things about you is you're able to tie the two together. You're able to be able to tie the old Corolla, we'll call, I guess, I don't know if that's the right way to say it.
I think that's well
the
said.
older days of Corolla and tie them together with the current and the future of what Corolla could be.
Well,
you're a bridge there.
I think I don't want people to think that it wasn't there.
Right.
That old Corolla didn't exist.
Right.
A lot of folks that might come on vacation maybe don't even have a clue that that was going on. And I would encourage, we have some great local bookshops. There's one, the bookshop right here in Corolla Village. Is it Island Bookstore? I think so.
Yeah. Island
Duck's
Bookstore.
Cottage and Duck has great books, but there's a couple authors, Travis Morris in particular, who was a duck hunter on the Currituck Sound, and he also sold some property here in Corolla Village. He writes extensively of kind of that old Corolla, and I like people to know that it's not so young. There's been stuff going on here for generations, and it's easy to miss that. I mean, obviously we have a lighthouse, so you're like, okay, there was some people here, right? In 1870, but So yeah, I like to think back to that old time. I realize we're not living it anymore, but it's good to know what was there and the people of that time as well.
So absolutely tying all that old history in and just saying, Corolla's always been here. It's not like it's a newly developed community as part of the Outer Banks. It's always been here. It's just now getting some, it's got that notoriety that a lot of the other places already in a way had. Mm-hmm. So you kind of answered a question a little bit ago about, when the Food Lion showed up here in what you say, 92?
I think it was 92? Around in 1992. Don't quote me on that, but
of course.
Can halfway quote me.
Yeah, but it was see, and I kind of, in a way, growing up in Wanchese, I mean, I knew of Corolla, but I never knew what was up here. And then all of a sudden, I started seeing, there was the old TV 12. Do you remember the old TV 12 that used to come on? Like, they used to put like commercials out there at Kelly's, Outer Banks Restaurant Tavern. Like, they always had commercials, but then there was people that were like, had their stores down on, Nagsig, Kidable Hills Way. But then they were starting to open places here in, I think TW's is one that sticks out to me right now.
Kitty Hawk Kites, all of those. A lot of those businesses that are, have long histories, down south. They started to move in up here.
They did. I remember the Timbuktu Shopping Center.
Yeah.
That was like one of the places that I used to always hear about. And it's like, what is up there? What is up there? And I never really had a vested interest in driving up here until I met Edward in high school, but we'll get to that story in just a second. So one of the big questions that people have is like, what are the different activities? What are things that people really like to do when they come to Corolla? Other than go to the beach and sit on the beach and hang out there, we've got the Corolla Lighthouse. What are other activities? What are other things that people really love and appreciate about doing here in Corolla? What are some things like that?
You want to speak to that a little bit? Do you have?
Yeah, I can jump in.
Go ahead, Shelley-Boo.
Yeah.
Shelley-Boo's been real quiet. Let's give Shelley-Boo some time.
There's so much to do here in Corolla. One of the biggest attractions are the wild horses on the four-wheel drive area.
Okay.
And there's different companies that'll take you on a tour. You can see the horses. And I know that's a big thing for a lot of people that come to Corolla.
Let's talk about them real quick. Okay. So I go out, I see the wild horses. I really want to pet one. Can I do that?
Absolutely not.
What? You mean I can't go pet a wild horse? Gosh, Shelley-Boo, you just burst my bubble. So can you talk to us a little bit about why that is, what the reasoning and a little bit behind that is? I mean, if I had to guess, they're wild animals.
Yeah, they're wild animals. There's county ordinances in place that you are not allowed to approach them, or you're not supposed to be within 50 feet of the horses. It's a good rule. Actually, I can remember a time where where people did used to interact with them a lot more in more unsafe ways. It can be a little deceiving because they're pretty. There's not a horse on this beach that's not familiar with people, and I think people should understand that. So that's why they're pretty comfortable with you, and you can be standing at that 50-foot mark, and you're not going to bother the horse at all. Except in certain times of year. I would say May is one of those times of year where there's a lot of horses being born right now. A lot of young. So you have that instinct where horses are protecting their young. And so just like any animal. So when there are people completely surrounding a group of horses and there's, a week-old, colt there, then, you are actually creating a dangerous situation for yourself.
Absolutely.
Also, during the times of year, which I've been seeing this occasionally the last few weeks as well, where they are getting more familiar with one another and there's some mating going on. And so you never want to get in the way of that either.
Absolutely not.
And one other thing that you'll see during the summer, especially when we have strong west winds, or actually even just any west wind, which is common in the summer, we get a lot of bugs. Occasionally, I think those bugs are bothering the horses enough where they just kind of freak out, and you'll see 6 or 8 horses just come flying over the dunes from being back in the bushes somewhere, and they're just trying to get away from the bugs. But if you're driving, walking, you got to watch out, because these are heavy animals that can do a lot of damage. So yeah, I mean, they're just good to look at from a distance. I mean,
and observe and just their natural beauty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So we don't approach the horses.
No.
We don't get to pet the horses. Daggone it. So something else, you talk about going up in the 4x4 area. Now, this office that we're sitting in right here is like less than a quarter mile from where that 4x4 area begins. Now, that strip of sand goes all the way to the Virginia line. Approximately how many miles is that?
It's 11. It's 11 from the ramp to the Virginia line.
Okay, so you got 11 miles of beach there that you can drive on. Any special permits required?
No permits to drive, but from the Friday before Memorial Day to the Monday after Labor Day, you do need a permit to park.
Okay.
And so it's a little bit of an interesting situation. Those of your listeners that might be more familiar with Hatteras Island and having to have the permit to drive, it can be a little confusing. And I'll see some people that will have that printed off, federal permit from down there on their window, and it doesn't do you any good to park up here with that. But you don't need anything to drive, because, the beach here, it's a different situation, because down on Hatteras Island, driving on the beach is purely recreation, right? You don't have to drive on the beach to get anywhere down there.
Right.
Here, we don't have an option. That is also, in some senses, a roadway for us,
Right.
So that's how we ingress and egress. You drive that beach. And so I think that makes it harder to permit from a driving perspective, because, say you own a house up here, Justin, and you have your favorite painter lives in Camden,
okay,
and you're going to say like, hey, go over and paint my house. Like, it gets pretty hard when you would consider having to work through paperwork of getting a permit for them to get to your house.
Right.
Or what if you just want to go see a friend and he lives up here? That can get a little weird. So I do think the parking permit, I wasn't personally a big fan of like doing permitting, but I was glad they didn't do a driving permit. I think we'll probably see that at some point. That's just, that's how things go. But yeah, Memorial Day to Labor Day, you do need that parking permit, and you can get them at parkingonthebeach.com. It's super easy website to remember. It's a Currituck County website. Do keep in mind, though, that they sell them on limited numbers. And so even if you're coming in, say, July or August, you should probably look into getting that now, because they sell out pretty quickly.
Okay, so they do have limited numbers of those things. That's a good point. That's something that people need to know.
Yes.
You can't just show up the week of and expect to get it. There's a chance that they may not have them.
But if you're staying, say, at a Twiddy Company property, in the off-road area or the North Beach 4x4, whatever you want to call that area, we ensure you get 2 permits for parking with that stay. So you will not have to purchase permits to park on the beach. There's 2 that come with your rental, and so that's something to consider.
I like that.
But if you're staying somewhere else and you're just going to go if park for the day, now keep in mind, if you just want to drive around, look for horses, see what's around, you can go drive around all you want. Just stay on public property, but don't But if you're going to park and hang out for the day, that's when you need that permit.
Got it. Okay, so talking about that 4x4 area up that past where the road ends, or the paved road ends, and talking about visiting with the wild horses. What are some other things that you know of that people really, really seem to love to do when they come here to Corolla?
I think climbing the lighthouse is a big thing. The lighthouse is big. And actually, if I was going to encourage something on like those hot days, especially, I would try to go in the morning. Because, there's no AC in that place.
I got you.
220
but
steps.
Beautiful views.
It's great views. It's the second tallest lighthouse on the Outer Banks, behind Cape Hatteras. And it's the only unpainted one. So it's red brick.
Okay. That's true. I didn't think about that.
makes us a little unique. They are open I think it's Wednesdays. There's a couple days maybe it's just one day a week where they're open a little bit later. I mean, you can't ever really catch a sunset there, but you can get pretty close.
Okay.
And it's a great view. I mean, I actually typically get a season pass there. I mean, I actually go up as often as I can. It's fun.
Right. My son he's a fourth grader at Manny Elementary School, and I had to sign a field trip form for him to go to the Corolla Lighthouse next week.
Oh, cool.
He's going on May 15th, I'm pretty sure.
Nice.
And he is like, Daddy, you going to go with me? And I was like, I don't know. We'll see. You know what I mean? I can't.
Yeah.
This is last week. I said, I'm actually going next week to Corolla. So I know that a lot of places, they take advantage of climbing that lighthouse and everything like that. So it's definitely a beautiful place.
Yeah. Well, it's a little different because I know, as far as I know, Cape Hatteras is still closed to climbing right now. You can't climb Ocracoke.
Right.
Body Island is open. I think you have to get they sell permits, I think, the day of. But
I think so.
They've got a little bit of a different setup. I would say Currituck Beach has the best feeling of, they limit how many people are at the lighthouse at the same time, so there kind of can be safety going up and down. But I think the grounds, of course I'm partial because it's Corolla, but I think the grounds of the Currituck Beach Lighthouse are probably the nicest ones of any of the Outer Banks lighthouses. In my opinion. You've got
gorgeous.
The grounds are beautiful, great. It's just an awesome spot there.
Right.
You're also right next to Currituck Heritage Park, so there's a boat museum there. There is a wildlife center there, and then there's also the Whalehead Club where you've got the old hunt club there where you can go take.
That's right.
in there.
Whalehead Club.
So I think that whole area, Currituck Heritage Park, including the Currituck Beach Lighthouse, that's a great spot. But Justin, I'll say this: people who typically come to Corolla, not that we have lots to do, we have lots of shopping, we have all that stuff, but it is a very different environment than say Nags Head, and so we don't have as near as much of the commercial activities. So, a lot of great spots to hang out, read a book, drink some good coffee, but it's definitely a different feel than some of that's
a little bit
area.
Slower speed, a little bit more relaxed.
Definitely. And just the Corolla Village, people love to just park here right at our office in Corolla and just walk around the village. And the barbecue place is going to open back up. They're rebuilding.
Ask about that.
And that is a highlight of everyone's vacation when they come. So that's going to open soon. They're actually rebuilding it. Do you know when it's going to be finished?
They're about finished.
It looks great.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
So that was actually going to kind of spiral into my next question. So I was going to ask the two of you, you get an evening out here in Corolla. Where? Name a couple of places. Give me a few spots. Where would you go if Edward Ponton was like, man, dang, I need to take the wife out tonight? Where are some places you would consider going?
I like La Dolce Vita.
Okay.
That's in the Timbuktu Shopping Center. Excellent.
Okay.
It's like kind of modern Italian, I guess you would call it. I don't know.
Delicious.
It's great. I
very,
love it.
very good.
There's also a place called Urban Kitchen that's in next to Harris Teeter, and that's kind of in a strip mall, so you might not think
Urban Kitchen.
Urban Kitchen. Oh, it's exceptional. That is exceptional.
Okay.
Those are my two.
That's like a hidden
go-tos.
gem, I feel like.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts? There's lots of other.
Juice Jar is really good just to go and get like a smoothie during the day and then go catch a sunset over at the Whalehead Club. That's the best sunsets with the bridge. Definitely, if you want to get your Instagram full of some good photos, you need to go over there. And then, over where La Dolce is and Timbuktu, there's all kinds of different restaurants in there and shops and stuff for the kids to do. So there's activities there as well.
Let me tell you a place I hit. It's probably a year or so ago. I can't remember now. It's like attached to a gas station. The Chicken Coop Country Diner.
Yes.
Are they still open? They changed hands. I know that.
I think they are. I saw because I thought about stopping. I didn't know how much time I was going to have because I got here super early and I was like, I've got to figure out. And I was like, I thought about stopping, but I was like, man, I'm going to get in there and we'll sit down. I'm going to look at my clock and then be like, oh crap, I'm running late. So I just didn't even bother stopping. I might hit them up on my way south, but that place was very good when I had it.
That's one of, I think that's only there and First Light over in Timbuktu. I think they're like the only places to get breakfast.
Yeah.
Like a sit down breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
They did have breakfast when I remember seeing something about
Lighthouse
breakfast.
Lighthouse Bagels, of course.
Well, Lighthouse Bagels, but I'm talking about like if you're going to go
bagels.
sit down inside. Yeah, Lighthouse Bagels, though, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's usually on the list when people come to Corolla.
Yeah.
And then Butcher Block has some great sandwiches, great
Butcher
deli,
Block.
very good. And that's over in the Food Lion parking lot as well.
You know, one thing we should shout out because they're great guys, but Corolla Surf Shop, they do a lot of surf lessons. And
I was going to ask about some of the activities like that, and like some of the like fishing activities, shops, stuff like that. Talk to me about that.
Activities, like they just do great surf lessons. And I would say, okay, I grew up on the Outer Banks. You grew up on the Outer Banks. Sometimes the surf shop culture can be a little bit brochacho to me, where you're like,
bro, there's gnarly waves.
You don't feel like you're cool enough to be in there, even if you're going to spend like $800 on 3 shirts, but you just don't feel cool enough. But these guys, Jack, Luke, and Phil, it's brothers that own this place, and they are like the antithesis of that.
Oh, okay.
And it's so great to go in there and just like talk to knowledgeable people and not feel like you're less than because you don't go to Nazaré and catch the 100-foot wave.
Shred those waves, man. So gnar. You didn't walk out of the movie Point Break. Got it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's my little
Okay. Shout out to Corolla Surf Shop.
Yes. They're wonderful people.
Yes.
Luke actually interned with us a few years ago, and he's great. And now he's working at his business.
Yeah, they're great.
The family business.
So we've got a lot of great shops, a lot of great restaurants. We've talked a little bit about some of the history of the area. And I want to know now a little bit more about Twiddy Company. Okay, you said since 1978 you've been in operation. Talk to me a little bit about it. Because part of the question was, where do I book?
Oh, yeah.
How do I get a vacation rental?
Let's hear about plenty of properties here in Corolla, 4x4, and Edward can speak on this a little later, but definitely require a 4x4 vehicle. But it's really cool up there because it's very unique, very remote. But we have plenty of homes on the paved roads as well.
Okay.
But we go from 1 bedroom all the way up to 36.
36 bedrooms.
Yeah. So we have plenty of
space.
Plenty of space for whoever you want to bring with you.
Or just enough.
Yep. Or just enough. Yes. But, we have plenty of rentals that we can help find. That'll be perfect for whatever you want to bring. If you want to bring your pet, if you need a pool, if you want to walk to the beach. There's also some really great communities as well. Corolla Light is really fantastic to have. They do activities every week, which is really cool.
Okay.
So they have like things for the kids. They have really cool amenities. It's a really great community to bring like the kids and the family, and just so much to do there. But plenty to pick from, Twiddy.com. So definitely check us out if you need to find a good place to stay in Corolla.
Twiddy.com.
Yes.
So one thing I want to kind of go back to that you said a moment ago, you got places on the paved road, but also in the 4x4. 4x4 means you have 4-wheel drive. All-wheel drive is not 4-wheel drive, okay? Now, you could be a professional like Mr. Ponton over here who used to drive to Manio High School on a daily basis in a 2-wheel drive F-150 single cab. Very nice truck, too. I enjoyed that truck. But my man's a pro. Don't think that because, oh, man, I could drive out there. I mean, there's a Facebook page called the Oregon Inlet Idiots. I don't know if Corolla has anything like that or not. But
we have something similar.
But it highlights those that feel as if they can go out and do in their Toyota Corollas.
Yeah, so we've kind of come up with language. So I'll give you a little bit of history with this too,
okay?
Justin, because it's like we have a situation where years ago we used to always just as a company we would just say, just bring 4-wheel drive. So things have changed a lot, right? I mean, when we were going to school, I had that 2-wheel drive truck because I didn't have the money to afford a 4-wheel drive. But when you think about it back then, you either had like a pickup truck typically that was 4-wheel drive, or people drove cars a lot still back then. Now there's a lot of crossover type vehicles. I mean, and back then you might have had like, say, a Ford Explorer or a Tahoe or Suburban or, those kind of vehicles that just had your standard 4-wheel drive, not a lot of options. Isuzu Troopers were like all the rage here back in the day. But things changed quite a bit. And so now there's like a lot of options. So in a lot of the all-wheel drive types of systems, some of them work better than others. So what we typically say here at Twiddy, our recommendation is a 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive vehicle with at least 7.5 inches of ground clearance stock. So if you Google 2018 Subaru Outback, and it's going to tell you 8.7 inches of clearance, I'm really confident with that. And so actually I drive an Outback. So but the most important thing with driving on the beach is that tire pressure. That is, if you look at it like a tool, it's your most important tool in the bag, right?
Got it. Okay.
And if we're in the middle of August, when it's really hot, it gets really dry sand, you're going to want to adjust that pressure. You're going to want to have it even lower than typical. I like to start with most vehicles at say 15 pounds of pressure. And that's with a standard 4-wheel drive. That's what I go down to on most vehicles. Now, if, I have one truck that's at, F350 diesel, it's a little heavier in the front. I might run like 18 and 20 in the front of that one sometimes, but I still keep the back around 15 because the back is light. But when you're running much over that, you're going to, the common misconception is that airing down is just about avoiding getting stuck. It's not just about that. It's so much easier on your vehicle. We see transmissions get really hot here, like where people are running them really hard, vehicles overheating, and you will mitigate all of those issues if you just air down really low.
Right.
And so, you want your thumb to press into the side of that tire really good. You want it to be a soft tire. All the old timers would say, oh, he's got hard tires or soft tires. And, we gave dirty looks to the hard tire people because they mess up the roads and the beach. But yeah, that's the whole deal. That the tire pressure, I cannot overemphasize that. You can have someone in a fairly subpar vehicle with 12 to 15 pounds of air pressure. They're going to cruise by someone in a lifted big truck that has 40 pounds of air in the pressure in the tires. And they're going to, make them feel like they're missing out on something,
Right.
But people are really hesitant I think some folks think it's an old wives' tale. I don't know why some are so hesitant to air down. I think some people are afraid of it. But I have to laugh. I was telling someone this morning, my mom keeps a stack my mom commutes the beach. She drives a Subaru Forester. She has a stack of tire gauges in the door. And one day I was behind her a couple summers ago, and she was pulling away from this guy in a big Jeep that was buried. And they're giving her like funny looks, and they're watching her, and she called me because she saw me. She said, those guys, they weren't very nice to me. I was like, well, Mom, you're like an older lady pulling up to these guys in their big old lifted truck or their Jeep and giving them a tire gauge. And then you're easing away, crossing the tracks with your Forester. It like takes their man card away.
Yeah, it kind of does.
And so, yeah, that would be my biggest advice. But, to your point, 4-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, they are different. A lot of people think they're the same thing.
Yes.
The same thing is happening. It's like, 4-wheel drive, you have a lock system typically, transfer case, 50% of the power is going to the front and to the rear. All-wheel drive systems, depending on the manufacturer, use very different ways to deliver that power. Some systems work really well. Some are a little subparish, but I would say in 2025, if you're coming with a vehicle that is that new, most of the systems work pretty dang well compared to what they did in, say, 2005. 2005, a lot of those systems were all front wheel drive based, and they would shift power to the rear when they dang well felt like it.
Right. Gotcha.
So I don't know if that's too much information.
No, but, that's good. No, this is all,
but that's,
it's all relevant to making sure that somebody has the best vacation possible. You know, because a lot of people don't understand that it's like you're not just because it's sand. I mean, you got to understand how to maneuver it and to operate it properly. That was a good little tutorial right there. Very good.
I was doing a training with some of our new agents this morning in our guest services department that communicate with guests. And occasionally we'll get people that contact us and they're asking for another way off the beach other than the beach. And so you might say, you could as an agent say, oh no, you have to drive on the beach. I was telling them, you know, you need to, that question in itself begs another question. Like, why are you concerned about driving the beach back? Are you having issues? Because what we'll do is send someone like me, I'll go to the house and be like, how can I help? And when I go, I don't take my company vehicle that's 4-wheel drive. I take the Outback because I want them to see, like, I'm coming up in what you probably consider a subpar car. I'll drive over there and like, hey, let's talk through what's going on. Let's get your air right. Because that's 99% of the time, that is the problem. It's just like, oh, we were afraid to go that low. And it's like, okay, understandable, but let's do it anyway.
We do have some really good videos on YouTube. That Edward is actually like giving tips and, you know, beach driving, like how to feel comfortable, what you need to do. So if anyone needs to watch those, they're very helpful too.
Where can they find them? Are they on your website? Can they search them up on YouTube, social media?
If you just go to YouTube and do Twiddy Outer Banks, and then you can find them, just say 4x4 driving. You can find them right there. Yep.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I love talking about this because I run across so many people that are, you know, they're coming on vacation and you want people to have a good time. I mean, this is my hometown. I want people to like it, right? We all love our hometowns. Yes. We all have something special. And you want people to enjoy it. And when you pass someone that they look more stressed than they probably would walking up to a Wall Street job, you know, right now. It's like, you know, I'm like, oh, I don't want them to feel like that.
No, of course not.
I met someone one time where after I got the guy out, he was like, hey, did you see a lady walking? And I was like, no, I don't think so. He's like, well, my wife took off like a half an hour ago and she's like done, you know? And it's like, well, we're not just doing vacation homes. We're fixing marriages with the air pressure, you know? So that's like what we're about. We want people to have a good time because if you don't do these simple things like we're talking about, it can make the experience, I think, you know, more difficult, more stressful. And we don't want that.
Of course not. So you help troubleshoot any of this stuff or solve some problems. I love it. Well, guys, we've covered a wide spectrum today of things in Corolla. I love it. Everything's been fantastic. I have one final question for the two of you. And Shelley, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
What is one thing that you want people to know about Corolla? What is one thing you would like, if you had to give a message to people that are talking about coming here on vacation or those that already come here on vacation, what's one thing you would say to them?
I would say Corolla is it's a magical place. I think it's so beautiful here. Walking around Corolla Village, looking at the lighthouse, seeing the sound to ocean views. It's just a great community. And the majority of our houses, people want to rent in Corolla. It's just very family driven.
Okay.
It's just a great family feel. Once you get up here, you just feel like you're in another world. And the houses, people love the houses up here because they can use all the different amenities. And then the 4-wheel drive, there's just nothing like it. It's definitely an experience that you don't want to miss. And then also there's walking trails everywhere, sidewalks. It's just a great place to be, super family friendly. And it's just, once you're vacationing in Corolla, you usually come back to Corolla.
Very cool.
Yeah, very cool place.
Absolutely. All right, Edward.
Before I answer, I want to touch on something Shelley-Boo just said. This morning, my wife and I were driving down the beach, and there were horses standing on the dune line. And when you're from a place, you don't think about those things. My wife has been on the Outer Banks a long time, but she's not been up here. And, you know, I had to think about what she said. Like, okay, she said something to the effect of like, you're not going to see that anywhere. And I'm like, you know, like as much as I probably take a lot for granted in life, like that's probably a true statement, you know? But as far as like to answer your question, I think we touched on it a little bit earlier. I think that bridge between the past is so important. There's a lot more to Corolla than meets the eye. You know, you take a walk through historic Corolla Village. You can go get coffee in a home that's over 100 years old. You can go visit the lighthouse. There's glimpses of it everywhere. These old structures, old buildings that have really been kept up by families. Even the Twiddy family has done a lot of that restoration. And there's just a lot of history here, a lot more than just the beach and just the horses and just, there's so much more. And this was always a community of characters, I like to say, societal dropouts. And now we're meshing that with what we have in a modern sense here. And I think it enables us to have a sense of place that a lot of places don't have. And, you may come here for the beach, but I hope you'll remember the people and the community and the history that we have. I hope that's what brings people back here. So that's my answer.
That's awesome. That kind of wraps this whole thing up and ties it all together. That right there, what you all both just said. Well, again, y'all, I appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity to be here. Thank you for being willing to be on the podcast this week. And anybody that's listening that is interested in coming to Corolla, seeing Corolla, I hope that this answered a lot of those questions. And if you need a place to stay, Twiddy and Company, Twiddy.com, would love to host you. Is that accurate? Is that a way to say it?
That is accurate. We can't wait to host you.
Guys, thanks again for allowing me to come up here. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Surrounded by water, Currituck and the people of the Outer Banks have been shaped and defined by its rich and coastal maritime history. The Currituck Maritime Museum tells the story of Currituck's boat-building forefathers, their remarkable craft, and the legacy they left behind on how to live life and thrive on the waters of the Outer Banks. Discover the Maritime Museum in historic Corolla Park, across the street from the Currituck Beach Lighthouse, and visit us online at CurrituckMaritimeMuseum.com. Be a part of the local history at the Currituck Maritime Museum.
Ahoy there, folks. Captain Edward Lee here, and I want to invite you aboard the Miss Oregon Inlet 2. She's a modern 60-foot headboat outfitted with the latest top-quality safety and fishing equipment. We make 3 trips per day out of the world-famous Oregon Inlet Fishing Center. Visit MissOregonInlet.com or call us today at 252-251-4314. So ditch the beach for a bit and set sail with the Miss Oregon Inlet 2.
Ah, yes. Take a ride on the Miss Oregon Inlet 2. Hey, we did it last year with Captain Marty. Went on a little sightseeing cruise, did a little bit of fishing, and it was a great time. So you get a chance to get on the Miss Oregon Inlet 2, please do so. All right, we're going to jump into some events. And again, all these events that I'm going to mention and more can be found online at OuterBanksThisWeek.com. Just click on the events tab. We're going to start. Hey, look, just so you know, there's trivia nights, live music across the board, karaoke nights. They're all over the place, up and down the beach. Okay, just about anywhere you look, you've got trivia, live music, or karaoke. Okay. And we have those all listed right here on our website at OuterBanksThisWeek.com. I actually host a trivia night Wednesday night at McGrath's Burger Shack starting at 6 o'clock. I do it every Wednesday, and it's a lot of fun. And I like to party, and y'all know that. So come to trivia night with me if you don't go anywhere else. Well, I want you to go other places, but I want you to come see me too. So make sure you come see me first. All right, let's take a look here. Coming up. Hey, Kids Fest is this Friday. I forgot about that. 9:30 to 12:30. It's put on by Children and Youth Partnership. It's right there at Festival Park in Manteo. You got kids, younger kids, you're going to want to take them out there. It is a heck of a lot of fun. I know I'm going to be out there walking around with my wife and likely my littlest of my littles. We're going to be out there walking around seeing things. I believe my cousin, who is a county commissioner, is going to be in the dunk tank. And I might just have to go over there and dunk him. Who knows? All right. So, yeah, there's that going on in downtown Manteo or at Festival Park on Friday, May 9th. I'm looking down. There's lots of things going on. There's music bingo, Buffalo City Distillery. Fish Heads has got some live music. Froggy Dog has live music down in Avon. Dance night with DJ Smiles. That's going on over at the Outer Banks Brewing Station. Hey, the 36th Annual Outrageous Kids Festival from 10 until 2. That's put on by the Dare County Arts Council. I believe that's over at Dowdy Park. Let me double check. Wander the World of Art. That is going to be happening, yes, at Dowdy Park in Nags Head from 10 until 2. And you can get more information about that at darearts.org. Got to get them over here. I'm telling you, they're like the closest place to come be on my podcast, and they're literally across the street from my office. I need to go see them. Let's see. Grand Mountain's going to be at Fish Heads this Saturday, May 10th from 6 until 9. Dude, you're going to want to go to that. Dude, Graham's my man. That's my dude. He is on point. That's my guy right there. So, yeah, Grand Mountain, Fish Head, 6 until 9. Right there, milepost 18.5 in South Nags Head. Hey, a Mother's Day mimosas. Would you like to have a mimosa on Mother's Day? You can if you go over to Buffalo City Distillery on this Sunday from noon until 6. Yes, they're going to have mimosas over there. Let's see. Going into Monday of next week, we've got a bingo night at Whalehead Brewery in Corolla. Some things with the Town of Duck. Open mic night at McGrath's Burger Shack. But this starts OBX Soft Shell Week. That's kicking off this week as well. Or excuse me, starting on Monday, May 12th is when that's going to kick off. OBX Soft Shell Week. Let's see. More things going on with the Town of Doug Children and Youth Partnership. They got some things going on. Elizabethan Gardens is doing a Butterfly House release. Of course, you got Trivia Night with me. That is actually on Wednesday night. That is not on Tuesday night as it is listed on the website. So please ignore that. It is Wednesday night with me at McGrath's Burger Shack. Coming out, Jeremy and the Generations is going to be at Fish Heads on Wednesday, May 14th. Again, I'm just kind of hitting the highlights here, y'all. I'm not going through every little detail. I'm just hitting the highlights right now. Let's skip ahead to, they're having the 53rd annual hang gliding spectacular at Jockey's Ridge. Right there at Carolisa Drive, right across from Kitty Hawk Kites in Nags Head. Professional hang gliders, fans, and families at Jockey's Ridge State Park in Nags Head. You can join them for this Kitty Hawk Kites hang gliding school tradition. It's the longest running hang gliding competition in the world. So excited to celebrate its 52nd consecutive year. Lots of activities planned. So, yeah, check it out. You can go online to kittyhawkkites.com to get more information on that. So that looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Actually, one of our content managers, he's like one of the bosses. He's in town for that, so he'll be there for sure. Lots of stuff still going on at Wine Cheese Marina, Buffalo City Distillery, Froggy Dog, Lost Colony Tavern. Coming up this Friday, May 16th, Saturday, May 17th. I can't even talk. Things going on Ocracoke Island. It's an island-wide yard sale down in Ocracoke on, Saturday, May 17th, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. Music bingo at Lost Colony Tavern in downtown Manio. Oh, gosh. They're having the USA Surfing Prime contest on Sunday, May 18th. Prime? No, not that kind of Prime, kids. But that's coming up I keep saying this Sunday. It's not this Sunday. It's Sunday, May 18th, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. Again, this is just kind of a glimpse at what's going on. You can see everything in its entirety right here at OuterBanksThisWeek.com. You can click on the events tab, and I'm telling you, we got miles upon miles upon miles of events that you can participate in. And again, right now, I got to get this fixed, but it says that trivia is Tuesday nights at McGrath's Burger Shack. That is incorrect. It is Wednesday nights at McGrath's Burger Shack starting at 6 o'clock. And I'm going to go get that fixed right now. All right, we're going to wrap this thing up now. I don't want to make this thing too long. Did I forget anything? I don't think I did. I want to thank everyone up there in Corolla at the Twiddy office for allowing me to come hang out and talk all things Corolla. Next week, I'm going to go pay a visit to my buddy Joel over at High Tider Golf Carts. We're going to talk about what Joel does with High Tider. And I'm telling you, that whole Overton group there, they have a lot of things going on. They got GMG Athletics. They've got High Tider Golf Carts. They've got Overton Construction. I believe Jake is actually president of the Home Builders Association, Joel's brother. But we're going to go over there. We're going to set up shop. We're going to have ourselves a good time with them. So stick around. You're going to want to listen to that one. And then I'm starting to work on the big party that I want to do for the podcast right there before Memorial Day. I'm still trying to iron out the details of that. But once I know what's going on, you will know what's going on. But next week, High Tider Golf Carts with Joel Overton. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Outer Banks This Week podcast. It's all brought to you by Outer Banks Pest Control online at outerbanks-pestcontrol.com, and it's all powered by Kelly's Automotive in Manio, and online at kellysobxauto.com. Have yourself a great and wonderful rest of the week, and I'll see y'all again next week. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Y'all take care now. Bye-bye.
This has been another radical edition of the Outer Banks This Week podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe, follow us on social media, and listen every Thursday for a new episode.